All right, so let's dive into something I know have everyone's curiosity piqued.
Hmm.
Those mysterious signals from space. We're going deep today, deep into analysis from a very unique source. It's a discussion between two Chinese speakers.
Yeah.
And, you might not find this perspective in your usual news feeds or typical science articles.
Yeah.
So this is a really fresh take on this.
Yeah.
It's a cosmic enigma, right? We're going to try to unravel what we know,
Mm.
explore the theories that are out there,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe, just maybe, we'll get a little closer to answering that age-old
The
question.
big one.
Are we alone?
Yeah.
We're talking Dyson spheres, dark forest theory.
Mm.
Civilizations so advanced we can't even wrap our heads around them.
It's fascinating, actually, how this source material we're looking at, it really encourages us to think about these concepts not as definitive answers, but more as possibilities.
Yeah.
It's a real invitation to think critically about our place in this vast universe.
Okay, let's unpack this. First things first.
Yeah.
What exactly is this signal everyone's buzzing about?
Well, it's what scientists call a fast radio burst, FRB for short.
Okay.
An incredibly intense burst of radio waves that lasts for just a few milliseconds.
Milliseconds. We're talking faster than a blink of an eye.
You got it. And here's the thing. By the time these signals reach Earth, they're incredibly faint. Imagine trying to pick up a cell phone signal from the moon.
Okay.
These FRBs, they're 1,000 times weaker than that.
Wow. That's incredibly faint. How are scientists even able to detect something that weak across such vast distances?
Well, that's really a testament to the incredible sensitivity of modern radio telescopes. These instruments are designed to pick up the faintest whispers of radio waves from the depths of space. It's a real challenge to filter out all the noise and isolate these signals, but when they do, it opens up this window to some of the most powerful events in the universe.
So we have this incredibly faint signal that's traveled billions of years to reach us. What makes this one so special? Why is everyone making such a big deal about it?
Well, think about this. For the signal to even be detectable after traveling for billions of years, the original burst must have been unimaginably powerful. We're talking the energy equivalent of 500 million suns.
Hold on. 500 million suns. That's almost impossible to even grasp. What could possibly generate that much energy?
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? It makes you wonder what kind of events or forces are capable of unleashing that kind of power.
I remember a few years back, there was a story about some scientists in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
They thought they detected a bunch of FRBs, but it turned out to be a microwave oven in their observatory.
Oh, right.
Could something like that be happening here, just on a much larger scale?
Well, it's always important to rule out any earthly sources. Scientists are very careful about that. But in this case, the sheer power of the signal, it points to something way beyond anything we could create here on Earth.
Okay, so we can rule out the cosmic microwave theory.
Yeah.
What makes this signal stand out from other FRBs that scientists have detected in the past?
Well, two things. Firstly, this signal, it's part of a set of 6 bursts, all originating from the exact same location. A dwarf galaxy about 1.5 billion light years away.
Okay.
And secondly, this is only the second time we've ever observed repeating signals like this. The first set was detected between 2012 and 2015, coming from an even more distant source about 3 billion light years away.
So we have 2 sets of these repeating signals, both coming from incredibly distant galaxies. It's no wonder people are jumping to conclusions that it could be aliens, right?
It's definitely a possibility that captures the imagination. If these signals are artificial, imagine the kind of civilization capable of sending them across such vast distances. What could they achieve?
If we're talking about civilizations capable of sending signals across billions of light years, that brings to mind the Kardashev scale.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that is and how it relates to these signals?
Absolutely. The Kardashev scale, it's a way of categorizing civilizations based on how much energy they can harness. A type I civilization, they can harness all the energy of their planet. To put that in perspective, we're currently at about 0.73 on that scale. We're not even a full type I yet.
So we humans have some work to do before we hit type I status.
Right.
What about the higher levels?
Okay, so a type 2 civilization, they can harness all the energy of their star.
Wow.
Imagine, a civilization capable of building something called a Dyson sphere. It's this hypothetical megastructure that could encompass an entire star, capturing all of its energy output.
Wait, what sphere? Tell me more about this Dyson sphere thing.
Picture this, a swarm of satellites, Or even a solid shell completely surrounding a star, capturing every bit of its energy. I mean, it's a mind-boggling concept, but theoretically it's possible.
So you're saying a civilization that could build a Dyson sphere would have access to the kind of energy we're detecting in these signals. Could that mean the source of these signals is a Type 2 civilization?
It's a possibility, isn't it? And if these civilizations are out there building structures like Dyson spheres, it raises a fascinating question. If a star's energy is completely captured by a Dyson sphere, wouldn't that star appear dark to us?
Uh-huh.
Could some of the objects that we observe as black holes actually be shrouded Dyson spheres? What do you think?
That's a chilling thought, and it makes you wonder what else are we misinterpreting out there in the vastness of space. But let's bring this back to the signals themselves. If they are from an advanced civilization, are they intentionally trying to contact us? Or is there another explanation for these powerful bursts?
Well, that's where we enter the realm of the dark forest theory. You might be familiar with it from the science fiction book, The Three-Body Problem.
Okay, yeah.
It paints a picture of the universe as a dangerous place, where civilizations hide their existence to avoid being destroyed by others.
So the universe is like a cosmic hide-and-seek game, and everybody's afraid to be found.
Exactly. In this dark forest, any sign of life could make you a target. So civilizations stay silent, hidden, afraid to reveal their location.
Well, if that's true, wouldn't sending out a signal as powerful as the one we've detected be incredibly risky for a civilization that's trying to stay hidden? Wouldn't that contradict the whole idea of the dark forest?
It definitely raises that question, doesn't it? It makes you wonder if the civilization doesn't adhere to the dark forest principles. Or could there be another, more unsettling possibility? Perhaps the signal is a deliberate trap, a beacon designed to lure in other civilizations and expose their locations.
A cosmic siren song is a terrifying thought,
Right?
but also kind of brilliant.
This is strategy.
However, the source material that we're looking at today, it actually presents a different perspective on the dark forest theory. It challenges the idea that all civilizations would necessarily operate under that same fear and paranoia.
Yeah, that's right. It highlights that the dark forest theory, it might just be a projection of our own fears and anxieties about encountering the unknown. It assumes that advanced civilizations would share our tendency towards competition and destruction.
So maybe we're imposing our own human history and biases onto something we don't fully understand.
Exactly. What if, instead of this kill or be killed mentality, these civilizations have evolved beyond that? What if they found ways to coexist peacefully, to collaborate and share knowledge, rather than seeing each other as threats?
It's a much more hopeful vision of the universe.
Yeah.
But even with that alternative perspective, if we assume the universe is this cosmic battleground, could these signals be something else entirely? Could they be evidence of interstellar warfare?
That's an interesting possibility. What if these signals aren't intentional messages or beacons? What if they're unintended consequences of some kind of cosmic conflict? Imagine civilizations battling it out, using stars as weapons, with these signals being like the cannon fire of their conflict.
Stars as weapons, that's a whole other level of scary.
It is a chilling thought, but it's actually the theory with the most support among the astronomers mentioned in our source. They argue that, looking at our own history, humanity has already conducted thousands of nuclear explosions. Each of these explosions emits a signal, a nuclear burst that travels through space.
So if we're doing it on this relatively small scale, could other civilizations be doing the same, but on a much, much grander scale?
It stands to reason, doesn't it? And even though our nuclear tests, they might seem random to us, an outside observer, they might detect a pattern, a sign that we're a species with a penchant for destruction. And if that observer, they believe in the dark forest theory, they might see us as a potential threat.
It's a sobering thought. Our own actions might have already betrayed our existence to the universe. And if there are civilizations out there monitoring for signs of life, we might have just painted a target on our backs.
It makes you reconsider those casual assumptions about sending messages out into space, doesn't it?
It does.
But this brings us back to the source of these signals, a dwarf galaxy 1.5 billion light years away. What do we know about this mysterious corner of the universe, and what might it tell us about the civilization that could be calling it home?
So we know these signals are emanating from a dwarf galaxy far, far away. But before we get too caught up in the excitement of potential alien civilizations, maybe let's delve a little deeper into some of the more technical aspects of these signals. One detail that caught my attention in the source material was the description of the signal's structure.
Oh, you mean how they were described as rough or crude in their composition? I have to
Right.
admit that kind of went over my head. I mean, if we're talking about a civilization capable of sending signals across billions of light years, wouldn't you expect their technology to be, well, a bit more refined? Exactly. You would think a civilization that advanced would be able to send us a, beautifully composed symphony of cosmic information. But that's what makes this detail so intriguing. If they wanted to send a clear, detailed message, they absolutely could. The fact that these signals are relatively basic, well, it suggests that they might not have been intentionally designed for communication.
So maybe it's not a deliberate, hey, universe, we're over here kind of message, more like an accidental leak of some kind.
That's one possibility. It could be that these signals are a byproduct of some other activity, like their energy generation, or some kind of massive engineering project. Imagine a civilization so advanced that they're manipulating energy on a scale that dwarfs anything we can comprehend. The signals we're detecting could just be the equivalent of, say, the hum of their machinery.
Okay, so maybe they're not intentionally broadcasting a message, but our source material also mentions a counter-argument to this idea, right? Something about these simple, powerful bursts being like a cosmic attention grabber.
Yes. This theory suggests that maybe these bursts are like a cosmic flare, a way of saying, hey, we're over here, without having to expend the energy to send complex messages to every corner of the universe.
So it's a way to get everyone's attention before revealing too much about themselves. Kind of like setting off fireworks to announce your presence before starting the real party.
Precisely. Think about it from the perspective of a scientist here on Earth. You're scanning the skies with a radio telescope, and suddenly, bam! You pick up this incredibly powerful burst. Wouldn't that make you sit up and take notice? Wouldn't you want to point more telescopes at that source to see what else you could find?
It would definitely grab my attention. So by sending out these simple bursts, they're essentially flagging their location. And then maybe once they've got everyone looking in the right direction, they can start transmitting more detailed information. It's actually a pretty clever strategy when you think about it.
And it ties back to the dark forest theory we were discussing earlier. If a civilization believes in the idea that the universe is a dangerous place, wouldn't it make sense to be cautious about revealing too much information too soon? These simple bursts could be a way to test the waters, to see who's out there and how they react before making themselves more vulnerable.
That's a really interesting point. But it also raises another question. If a civilization is that advanced and that cautious, wouldn't they be extra careful about revealing their location at all? I mean, sending out any kind of signal, even a simple burst, seems like it would go against the whole principle of staying hidden in the cosmic forest.
It's a paradox, isn't it? On the one hand, the dark forest theory suggests that survival depends on staying silent and hidden. But on the other hand, maybe there are exceptions to the rule. Maybe this civilization doesn't share that fear. Or maybe they're so powerful that they don't see any other civilization as a threat.
It's like they're the cosmic equivalent of a lion, confidently roaring to announce its presence because it knows it's at the top of the food chain.
Exactly. But let's not forget, the dark forest theory is just that, a theory. It's a compelling idea, and it certainly makes us think about the potential risks of contact, but it's based on a lot of assumptions about how alien civilizations might think and behave. Do you think the dark forest accurately reflects the nature of the universe? Are there other ways for civilizations to interact?
I think it's important to remember that we're viewing all of this through the lens of our own human experiences and our understanding of the universe. It's natural to project our own fears and anxieties onto the unknown. But maybe that's limiting our perspective. What if, instead of a cosmic battleground, the universe is actually a place of cooperation and collaboration?
That's a question worth pondering, and it brings us back to that alternative perspective presented in our source material. Remember, they challenged the solely pessimistic view of the dark forest theory, suggesting that maybe advanced civilizations have evolved beyond our, well, more primitive tendencies.
Right. Instead of a universe ruled by fear and competition, they proposed the possibility of a universe where civilizations have learned to coexist peacefully, sharing knowledge and resources.
It's a hopeful vision, isn't it? But even if we set aside the dark forest theory for a moment, there's another possibility we need to consider. One that's even more chilling than the idea of a cosmic hide-and-seek game.
You're talking about the possibility that these signals are actually a deliberate trap, a way to lure in unsuspecting civilizations.
Exactly. It's a dark thought, but it's not entirely implausible. What if there are civilizations out there that see the universe as a zero-sum game? a battle for resources and survival, where any other intelligent life form is a potential competitor. What if they intentionally send out these signals as bait, waiting for a naive civilization like ours to respond?
So instead of hiding in the cosmic forest, they're actively hunting. That's a terrifying thought.
It is. Imagine being lured out of hiding, only to be met with hostility, or even worse, annihilation. It really makes you reconsider the whole idea of sending messages out into space, doesn't it?
It definitely makes you think twice. But, as we're discussing all of this, it occurs to me that we've been focusing a lot on the potential dangers and negative interpretations of these signals. What about the possibility that there's something entirely different?
You're thinking about the interstellar warfare theory, right? The idea that these signals could be a byproduct of cosmic battles between advanced civilizations.
That's the one. I know it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but the idea that these signals could be the uh, the cannon fire of some epic cosmic conflict with stars being used as weapons,
Yeah.
it's both terrifying and utterly fascinating.
It's a concept that really stretches the limits of our imagination, isn't it? But, if civilizations have reached a technological level where they can harness the energy of stars, then using them as weapons might not be so far-fetched.
And if we think back to that comparison to our own nuclear tests, it adds another layer to this theory. Our nuclear explosions, which seem so significant to us, are probably just tiny blips on the cosmic radar. But what if there are civilizations out there waging war on a scale that dwarfs anything we can imagine?
It's mind-boggling to think about, isn't it? And it makes you wonder, what other incredible events and phenomena are taking place out there in the vast universe, beyond our current ability to detect or comprehend.
This entire conversation has been a whirlwind. We've gone from friendly greetings to cosmic traps to interstellar warfare. I need a moment to process all of this. But before we get too lost in the hypothetical, I think it's time to shift gears and talk a bit more about the source of these signals. We know they're coming from a dwarf galaxy, but what exactly is a dwarf galaxy, and why might that be significant?
That's a great question. Dwarf galaxies are like the smaller, quieter cousins of large spiral galaxies, like our own Milky Way. They contain far fewer stars, maybe a few billion compared to the hundreds of billions in our galaxy.
So they're like the cosmic equivalent of a small town compared to a bustling metropolis.
That's a great analogy. And while they might seem less impressive at first glance, some scientists believe that dwarf galaxies might actually be ideal locations for advanced civilizations.
Really? Why is that? I would have thought a larger galaxy with more stars would offer more resources and opportunities for a developing civilization.
That's a common assumption. But think about it this way. Less stellar activity means less radiation, fewer supernovae going off. Basically, a calmer, more stable environment. Imagine a civilization that has mastered energy manipulation on a massive scale. They might not need to be near a lot of stars because they can create their own energy sources.
So if our Milky Way is like a bustling city center, a dwarf galaxy is more like a peaceful suburb, with less hustle and bustle, more space to spread out, and maybe even a lower cost of living.
Exactly. And when you consider the sheer age and vastness of the universe, it makes sense that there might be civilizations out there that are far older and more advanced than our own. Their understanding of physics and engineering might be so advanced that they can manipulate matter and energy in ways we can barely comprehend. What we consider a resource might be completely different to them.
It's like in those science fiction stories where they can rearrange atoms to create whatever they need. Their technology might be so advanced that the laws of physics, as we understand them, don't even apply anymore.
That's right. So while we might think of a dwarf galaxy as lacking resources, a highly advanced civilization might see it as a peaceful haven, a place where they can pursue their own goals in development without the chaos and competition of a more densely populated galactic neighborhood.
It's a really intriguing perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
It makes you realize how much we still don't know about the universe and the possibilities that might exist beyond our limited understanding.
That's the beauty of these kinds of mysteries. They challenge our assumptions, and they force us to expand our thinking.
Okay, so let's recap where we are. We have these mysterious signals, potentially from a super advanced civilization residing in a quiet dwarf galaxy, perhaps building Dyson spheres, and maybe even flinging stars around as weapons. It's quite a picture, isn't it?
It is, but let's not forget that all of this is still speculation. We have these intriguing signals, and we're trying to understand what they might mean, but we're still very much in the early stages of this investigation.
Right. It's like we're trying to assemble a giant cosmic jigsaw puzzle, but we only have a few pieces.
Exactly. But even with those few pieces, we can start to see the outlines of something extraordinary. We're being challenged to confront the limits of our knowledge and to imagine possibilities that we might have never considered before. And that, I think, is the most exciting part of all of this.
I completely agree. It's a reminder that even in the vastness of the universe, we're all connected in some way. Whether these signals turn out to be natural phenomena or evidence of a civilization beyond our wildest dreams, the very act of trying to understand them is a testament to human curiosity and our innate desire to explore the unknown.
And that brings us to a really crucial point. What does all of this mean for us here on Earth?
That's the big question, isn't it? What are the implications of this discovery, regardless of whether these signals are natural or artificial?
Well, I think the most important takeaway is the realization of just how much we don't know. We're just beginning to scratch the surface of understanding our place in the cosmos.
It really is humbling when you think about it. We spend our lives building our knowledge, exploring our world, and then something like this comes along and reminds us there's just so much more beyond our grasp.
And I think that's a good thing. Keeps us curious, keeps us pushing those boundaries of what we know and striving to explore further. It's like we're standing at the edge of an uncharted ocean. We're just starting to realize how deep and vast it truly is.
I like that analogy. And, it's not just about the physical exploration of space. These discoveries, they challenge our philosophical understanding of the universe, too. Like, we're forced to ask these really big questions about the nature of intelligence, the meaning of existence, our place in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. If these signals are from another civilization, it changes everything. It means we're not alone, that the universe is teeming with possibilities you can't even begin to imagine. And even if they're not artificial, even if they're a natural phenomenon that we don't yet understand, it still expands our awareness of what's possible.
It's like a door has been opened, and we can't help but peek through, even if we're not sure what's on the other side.
And that curiosity is what drives us forward. It's what led us to develop radio telescopes in the first place, scan the skies, listen for these whispers from the cosmos.
It makes you wonder, what's the next step? Where do we go from here?
Well, for now, the scientific community, they're going to continue to study these signals, trying to gather more data, to refine their theories, rule out any other possible explanations.
And I imagine there's going to be a lot of debate and discussion about whether or not we should try to send a message back.
Oh, absolutely. That's a question that has ethical and philosophical implications that go way beyond the scientific. If we do decide to send a message, what do we say? How do we represent ourselves? And are we even prepared for the potential consequences of making contact?
It's a lot of responsibility.
Mm.
And it's a decision that shouldn't be taken lightly.
No. But I have a feeling this is just the beginning of the conversation. These signals, they've sparked our imagination, and they've opened up this whole new realm of possibilities.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll have the technology to not just detect these signals, but to actually decode them, to really understand what they're telling us.
Now, that would be incredible. That would be like finally finding those missing pieces of the puzzle and being able to see the full picture for the first time.
Well, folks, that brings our deep dive into the mysterious signals from space to a close. We've explored the science, the theories, the philosophical implications of this discovery.
We've contemplated the possibilities of advanced civilizations, Dyson spheres, the dark forest theory, even interstellar warfare.
We've questioned our assumptions about the universe and our place within it, and we've been reminded of the vastness of what we still don't know.
But perhaps the most important question remains. Are we alone?
What do you think?
We'd love to hear your thoughts on this mind-boggling discovery.
And if this cosmic exploration has sparked your curiosity, be sure to join us for our next deep dive, where we'll tackle another thought-provoking topic.
Until then, keep looking up, keep asking questions.
Because the universe is full of wonders waiting to be discovered.